Welcome to Design Dash, a bite-sized talk series where we get into the good stuff. Marketing meets creativity and how AI is shaking things up in design.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Design Dash. We are on season 2, episode 2 today. And I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Jay Nair, our marketing lead at Venngage, and Nadia Fernandez, La Isa Design founder, as well as LinkedIn carousel designer.
Hi.
Hello.
So today we are discussing the AI style trap, defending brand authenticity in a generic world. Now, as AI design tools become more common, we as marketers and designers risk creating generic, aesthetically similar design. So the question is, how do we as creative professionals use these tools without falling into the trap of losing our unique voice? So I think before we begin, it's important for us to define this so-called AI trap. And it might help for us to identify ways for us to not fall prey to generic designs. So, Jay, maybe we can start off with you and you can perhaps share with us some steps that we can take to make sure that we can create some authentic content rather than generic.
So there are 4 things that we normally look into. The step 1 would be identifying your brand DNA, which means you want to really structure what your brand voice is, your brand colors, your brand concepts. People instantly recognize your designs without even looking at your logo because everything else already gives it away. Step 2 is saving your assets as a brand kit in your tools, which the Venngage editor allows. You basically just upload your logo, your brand colors, and fonts and so on. And I think there's this little cool thing on Venngage editor where you just enter the website of the brand and it automatically uploads your entire brand style on it. Step 3 is write prompts with your audience, your ICPs, your goal, your tone, your constraints, and your story. Basically, learning how to program your LLMs to write the way you want your brand to sound. So that there is a component of prompt engineering, but it's like very basic prompt engineering which you need to learn. And the last step is for you and maybe some of your team members to do a human final pass to see how you feel about the content, how you feel about the design, basically for meaning and emotions. For example, if I look at this design, how do I feel about it versus like another person on the team? The flow that I would normally move towards is first set my goal. For example, um, if I want the content to be in a very serious tone or in a very friendly tone, then I would pick a template, the ready-made templates, or I can use an AI generator. And then I would apply the brand kit and then I would tweak everything else, basically customize to make sure that it has that look and feel that I initially set as the goal. The next step is to do a quick contrast spacing check to make sure like everything's in order, that, I'm guiding the reader's eye as well, what to read first and so on. The text contrast with the colors, the background colors, your accessibility component to it as well. And I just export the design. Like it needs to be, the overall design when you create it, we want it to be fast and on brand without feeling generic, without feeling like, oh, you're creating something nice, but it also looks like this other brand. You want to have your own personality in it as well.
One of the things that I struggle with is the prompting, because usually when I'm trying to create a new design, a new image, and at this point, I spend a lot of time going over and over again until I get, the ideal output that I'm thinking in my imagination. Nadia, as a designer, I'm sure you also have this struggle sometimes. So maybe you can share with us some of your techniques that you implement when creating designs that use AI.
I have to say that there are several ways that I personally use them and that I think can be used for different outcomes. I use it for designing images and I use it for also designing concepts and images too for websites. So I use it in 2 different ways, 2 branches. If we're talking about design, The one thing that I start with basically is thinking that this is going to be for humans from a human. So I try to speak or engineer generate my prompt in a voice that I would personally use to talk to a friend. I've had the best outcomes so far when doing so. If I can only use words, I would basically talk about surroundings, talk about feelings, talk about emotions, talk about ideal outcomes. And I would be detailed just how I would be detailed talking to a friend. I would tell them this happened, this and this and this and this too. So I tried to be as thorough, and I realized that the more thorough you are, you get your ideal outcome much quicker. However, obviously, it can be very broad, and your results can look anywhere from great to maybe a human being with 6 fingers, 7 fingers outcomes. If you want your images to always not look the same, but feel relatable, make sure you set that up from the beginning. Depending on which AI tools right now, they have memory. They retain details that you mentioned maybe 2 weeks ago. So it's important to sometimes even have a conversation and ask, hey, do you remember when I said this for this project? Let's bring it back. And you start from there. Today, they're reading us like humans. And locking in the details of your brand and the hierarchy of the message that you want to put out there, that's key. I mean, there are AI images that no matter what you do, like they scream AI, right? But that today, maybe not 8 months ago, but today is the outcome of lazy prompting, to be honest. Because if we put in the details at first, those details will reflect and those details will be part of the image.
I actually discovered a little trick because I was trying to create an image and I wanted it to be like a reference that I saw that's really good. And I didn't know how to translate that into words, right? You just struggle to come up with the words that is going to get you the output that you want. So one of the tricks that I did was just to drop that reference that I had, drop it into an LLM. I was using ChatGPT at this point, dropped it in ChatGPT and just asked, review this image, create a design prompt for me. And so with this prompt, I could start tweaking and adding my own spin to it, my own concept. But it gives you a guide rather than for you to start from zero. And I think that's where we normally struggle with. We're like, how do I even communicate with this LLM so that I get what I exactly want? So yeah, that was a little trick that I learned quite recently.
I mean, I was just trying to define how, let's say, if you're using an AI tool that doesn't have the ability for you to drop an image and say, hey, study this image and maybe focus on the golden hour that is, or maybe focus on the 2 people that are there. If you drop the image and let it study it for you and then edit from there, obviously your outcome is always going to be a million times better. So I feel like not every tool is there yet. Sometimes you have to do it, but then a combination, as you said, you go to a different one, extract a starting point and edit from there. That's great.
Yeah, I think we're at this point where we're still testing out everything. Not one tool is perfect. And so it's just about experimenting with a number of tools and seeing which one generates the best
Yes.
output.
Sometimes you use like 5 different tools and then just combine them and get like the perfect image.
Yeah, sometimes that's exactly what you need to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have a little activity. I'd like to share some images to you guys. And I'd like for you to judge whether or not this was AI generated or if this was purely made by humans. So the first image is of a Marvel Studios poster. What are your initial thoughts on this? AI or human?
AI.
Okay, AI 100%. Why is there an overlap in the
Exactly. Like
in the
Samuel L.
text?
Jackson would ever let his name be covered.
That's a good point.
They did not publish this.
They did. They did. What's your verdict?
I'm a yes.
Nadia's a yes for AI. Jay?
Yeah, I'm a yes for AI as well.
Okay, so background to this image is that Method Studios, the mastermind behind Marvel Studios, used AI to create the opening credits for Marvel's Secret Invasion on Disney+. So yes, correct, it is AI. The reaction that they got from viewers though was that viewers weren't very happy with this choice. They criticized the design and they were worried that it would displace human animators and designers. But the studio responded that no artists actually lost their jobs due to the AI tools. So that's interesting. Funnily enough, Marvel's editor-in-chief for Marvel Comics actually highlighted that they have a strict anti-AI art policy for Marvel Comics. And this was a sign of their commitment to human-made artwork. So it's funny to see how it's the same brand, but there are two different consensus to it, where the movie studios are all about AI, the comic segment, which is, I guess, the initial foundation of how Marvel came about, really wants to stay authentic to its human-made art. Okay, I'm going to drop the next one, which is Coca-Cola. What do we think of this?
So this is, to me, one of those that obviously it can be AI 100%. It can be a little put together of different AI moments that they've had for different projects, but it could perfectly be human artwork too. So it's prompt with intention. As for, I feel like every single image within this image was prompt with a different purpose. So
Interesting.
it can be AI, yes. Can it be drawn by a human? Yes, I think so too. But in this case, okay, I'm going to say yes, it is AI, but it could perfectly be human.
What do you think, Jay?
It's a mixed media art. It's not AI.
All right, so we have two different consensus on this. So in 2023, Coca-Cola teamed up with Bain and Company, as well as OpenAI, to bring AI into its operations. So what they actually did was they invited fans to use ChatGPT and DALL-E with classic Coke assets to generate a new brand artwork. What Coca-Cola was doing was showing how AI could boost engagement and brand awareness through participation and creative experiences. So
Yeah.
essentially what you're seeing is a collage of ChatGPT prompted images made by random people. And then they
Right.
grouped it up into one big poster.
That's why I got the
Interesting.
feels of every single image here was prompted very differently, you know,
Yeah.
with intention. I feel like every single one had a very different intention. Like
Yeah.
whoever
Yeah.
described the cat most likely never described that Santa Claus. It's like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's cool.
What confused me is that second image, the middle one, that's the only one that didn't have Coca-Cola like clear. So I was confused about that, but I just thought maybe they were just trying to make it that way and still have someone recognize it as Coke. Because all the rest, I mean, except for the doodle one, you can clearly see the word Coca-Cola on it.
Yeah. So this is actually a perfect example of how with the same brand assets, you can create completely different motives, completely different concepts. But at the same time, it all represents the brand quite accurately. If you
Yeah.
place it next to a Coca-Cola logo, it could fit perfectly. You would probably know that, oh yeah, this looks like something that Coca-Cola is behind.
Yeah.
I love
I
it.
like this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, one last image. What do we think of this? I'll give you guys a clue. This is a screenshot from Nintendo's Mario Kart's World game.
Video games are just too real today. I mean, okay, so are we judging the actual screenshot or are we judging the two banners that we
Image,
see there?
Sorry, yeah.
The whole image.
We're looking at the billboards, yeah, the banners.
Just the billboards, right?
Just the billboards.
Well, we're talking about, I mean, this was AI generated, the whole thing. AI within AI, right? Let me put myself in the shoes of whoever had to, whoever was behind the entire game. You said it was a game, right?
It was a game. It was Nintendo's Mario Kart World.
So at this point, I have no clue how games are created, like how they're programmed, and code it. I don't know. But my impression, or what I would do if I had to do it, would be basically take real photos of the streets that I want to appear in that game. And then obviously AI would generate the game version of that. And today AI can generate it as real as it actually is. So maybe it's an AI image of real photo, AI version of real photos. That's my take.
Jay, what do you think?
I'm leaning towards the same thing because it looks like someone either took a screen cap or did take real images from the game and then just placed it on AI and got AI to recreate it. But I definitely do think they edited the font and everything because AI doesn't give you accurate text most of the time, like at least 90% of the time. So yeah, I'm more or less with Nadia on this one.
Okay, so I'll reveal the answer. So in June of this year, Mario Kart World was released, and some fans actually thought that the billboards looked like they were made by AI. Nintendo responded by saying that no AI-made images were used in the game. And they claim that the odd-looking art that you see in the billboards is actually an early build or a placeholder graphics and not actually AI. So Nintendo has been really vocal about avoiding generative AI from their core creative work. So this includes stories, characters, any world buildings for different games that they were developing. And this was aimed to protect the brand's integrity. They actually use AI for technical assistance and hardware development, but for their creative input, they are committed to using their traditional methods. And for this, netizens were very, very supportive of Nintendo's stance on not using AI.
So basically, my thought of someone, they wanted this street in the game. Someone had to take a photo of the actual road. And then obviously with coding, they had to create a artificial version of that road.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the most accurate way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They still needed their own designers to create this. So it might look a bit raw and out of place, but yeah, it was definitely not made by AI.
I used to be a very heavy gamer for many, many years. And seeing the trailers of new games coming out today, it's like watching a movie trailer. It's insanely realistic.
Yeah.
So seeing this is like I've always, as a creator, it's always like, how is this done, right? Or what methods were used? And we always kind of question that in the back of our heads. And
you can see how fans zoomed in so much that they were able to notice like the smallest details on a random road in this Mario Kart game. And you can imagine that people, more fans are probably just studying different angles or different segments of the game just to call out like, oh, this looks like AI and this doesn't look like it's made by humans. And I mean, I guess for Nintendo, they must be really proud to say that, no, this is all original work.
that's a lot of work.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I'm all for originality and brands wanting to create their own images, but I'm curious on the sense where like they say they don't want to use AI, they're so against it. I'm curious as to why. Is it because like if they start prompting something and using AI to create maybe like a part of the image and then someone edits it, is it because it's already in the system and someone else can generate it? But also, if that's the fear, even with the original images, someone can just plug it into an AI and say, recreate this, and then it's also there. So I'm trying to understand the fear and also like the whole reluctance to not use AI and to proudly say like we created this ourselves.
I mean, I would love to know what a no, we don't use AI really means.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
as a company, we don't replace our employees with AI is one thing. But then we have a team of 10 designers. What are their methods of designing?
Yeah.
I mean, Are they restricted from using an AI tool?
Yeah.
So I don't know where the boundary is.
And you can imagine how long it takes, Sometimes like a Disney movie takes a whole decade to make traditionally.
Yeah. Yeah. My amateur final project, even when I was in college, it was literally a 3-minute video, but it took me a whole week to create each frame by frame by frame. So I can imagine how other big brands and companies are doing everything originally right now.
Because they're competing with each other. Who's gonna release the next game first, And then it becomes a race against time. But I mean, as Nintendo put it, they mentioned keeping true to their traditional methods. So maybe this is about tradition. This is about history. This is about where they started off to begin with. And I guess it might have some of that Japanese essence of, being true to the art. So yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that one.
Yeah. Was that interesting?
Yeah,
I love it.
I want more. I love that you had story time after that. You had the whole history of in 2025 in June. It's like I like that you had the whole thing there.
And it was difficult because generally you can tell if something is AI generated. At this moment in time, you can pretty much tell. But at the same time, it's evolving really fast that you can't tell anymore. It's getting harder and harder to tell what is made using AI and what is made by humans. So this is a really good exercise to gauge, what the audience is responding to right now.
I also think what people, like whenever you say AI image, the first thing that people think about is your classic, like, AI image. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. What comes to mind mostly when you say an AI generated image, but there are people out there that seriously generate real artwork. And if you see it, if you print it and you put it up on a canvas and your wall, you could fool someone, making them think that you actually bought this at an art store or an art gallery. It's insane. It's becoming insane.
That was a very interesting conversation that we had. So to
We
summarize,
have more questions than what we started off with now.
Yeah. Some questions that we can maybe answer in our future episodes. So to recap, I remember Nadia mentioning when we're trying to prompt that we need to be speaking to our LLM as if they're human, which means be as detailed as you can. Don't leave out any small details because this is what's going to create the most authentic image or output to you and what you want. As Jay mentioned, it's important for us to also identify our brand guidelines right from the beginning so that you don't fall trapped into going back to step A again when you're already in the middle and you have to start from scratch. And lastly, it's about the hierarchy and the message that you are trying to portray that is uniquely yours and not like anybody else's. So thank you so much, ladies, for this fun topic. We look forward to talking again in our 3rd episode of season 2. So until then, thank you so much and see you next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.